Alright, so what we're going to do here today, we're going to go over how to fill in your primary and secondary colors using watercolor pencils. So the three watercolor pencils that you're going to need for this are going to be yellow, red, and blue. Now make sure that it is this color of blue, not your sky blue or your violet, because the violet and the blue look very similar. The other thing you're going to need is a pencil sharpener. You might have to share with a peer. And what you're going to do, you want to make sure that the tips of these are not super sharp, because it'll break really easily if they're super sharp. And when you go to sharpen them, all you want to do is just twist them around maybe a few times to sharpen up your pencil and get rid of some of the wood part that's there, so you're able to color in the area. So I'm going to start with blue. So whenever we're coloring these in for the primary colors, you're doing just that. You're just coloring them in, and you don't want to have it so that it's incredibly light like this whenever you color it in, because that's going to look more like a sky blue. Because you're going to have added water to this, and when you add water to it, more of the white of the paper is going to come through. So you want to take your time when you're doing this, do a nice job, because neatness is always a factor whenever we're grading. And you don't have to push like super hard with your pencil either, with your watercolor pencil. There's more than one way to use the watercolor pencil, but for what we're doing in here, we want to color it on first and then add the water to it. So you want to shade it in pretty nice and solid. And then you're going to take your brush, put a little bit of water on it. You don't want to dry it off for this, and then you just take the brush and you smear it around kind of in the square there. So try and stay inside the square. You don't need a ton of water. You want to be conservative with your water. If you need more, you can get more. And keep in mind that your colors are going to look a little different than what mine do up here, just because of the recording. And there's your blue. Okay. Now we move down here and we're mixing colors. What you want to do is you're always going to start with the lighter color first. So the primary color that comes first is the one that you start with. So like, let's say that we're going to mix orange. So for orange, I'm going to put more red down, or yellow, I'm sorry, more yellow. I'm just checking to see who is paying attention, okay? More yellow down. Try and stay inside the box when you're coloring this in. And then I'm going to go over it a little bit with red. Now you don't want to put as much red down because it doesn't take quite as much red to make an orange. And I always go both ways whenever I go over it. And I'm going to take my brush. You want to rinse it out a little bit. Okay, make sure that you get rid of that blue pigment so that you don't get your colors muddy, because when you mix all three primary colors together, you get like a brown, and it'll start to muddy up your colors. And then you can just take and kind of mix the colors together, and hopefully you get an orange. Now, this is an exercise in mixing colors, so if you're mixing this up and you're thinking like, well, that's not really much of an orange, you can, I'll show you what to do after this is done, if you want to see what other colors you can get, or if you're just curious, because this is just a scrapbook of the elements and principles. You can take over here, put some more yellow down, and if you think it's a little light, and you want to see what happens if you put more red, or whatever color it is that you're mixing. If it's blue and green, you could do it here, or blue and yellow. You just put more red down. And then mix it together to see if you get more of an orange. Never be afraid to experiment on something like this and see what you can come up with. Okay? And then for yellow and blue, you put yellow down first, add blue over top. For red and blue, you'd add red down first and add blue on top to get your violet. And like I said, feel free to see what colors you can push further on the sides here.